Welcome back. This morning, we're shining a spotlight on the Idaho student murders case. And defendant Bryan Kohberger, who's now got a trial date, June 2nd of 2025. He is the man suspected of murdering those 4 beautiful University of Idaho students. And he appeared in court on Thursday. The judge set that trial date for him, blocked out 2 weeks just to do the jury selection and 3 whole months for the trial. Now, both sides agreed on that date, no objections to it. Let's listen to what Kohberger's attorney had to say.
Your Honor, first, I know the court has listed this as taking place in Latah County. We haven't been heard on our change of venue yet. That's to come.
Totally understand that.
So I don't want anybody thinking I'm agreeing to Latah County is all. The June of 2025, that's the time frame that we have been working towards. I am hopeful that we can come in there. We're working towards that date. I think it's reasonable to set that date.
Now, there are a lot of eyes on this case, of course, and lots of theories about what happened in that home where Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle were murdered. There's even a brand new book about it, and the author has a different theory about why those murders occurred. I'm so pleased to welcome him in now on the show. Author Howard Blum is joining us. He wrote the book I have in my hands here, When the Night Comes Falling. Howard, good morning to you, and welcome. Could we start, please, with your background? You have a really impressive background. Talk a little bit about it, tell our viewers, and then tell us kind of why you were drawn to this case.
Well, I was an investigative reporter at the New York Times for over a decade. I was nominated for 2 Pulitzers at the paper. I then went on to, at Vanity Fair, was a contributing editor for at least 20 years. I've written 16 books, many of them bestsellers. Why was I drawn to this case? I was drawn to this case almost by accident. We started discussing it around the Thanksgiving table just about a week after the murders occurred. And it was such a perplexing mystery that I thought, well, this would be sort of exciting to try to put on my old investigator's trench coat, go out to Idaho, and see if I could try to put the details of this case together. And I made a call to Graydon Carter, who has Airmail magazine, and he said, sure, go for us. And I went out there, and I started knocking on doors and speaking to people. And this was fortunately in the early days before there was a gag order. And I was able to establish some relationships that held in place for the next 18 months as I sat down and researched and wrote.
Sure. Really doing what you do best, Howard. So in the book, you write that you believe that one of the roommates was the target. Talk to us about that, please.
Sure. First, we should state for the record that the prosecution and the defense have stated categorically that there was no interaction between the suspect, Bryan Kohberger, and any of the victims, either in person or in social media. That's what they say for the record. I think the reality is a little subtler. On the night of the murders, the suspect enters through the kitchen door on the 2nd floor of the house. There are 2 bedrooms on either side. He could have gone into either of those bedrooms if he was just on a murder spree. However, he goes up the stairs to the 3rd floor and enters the bedroom of Maddie Mogen. He finds in that bedroom, Kaylee is there too. She's just come in for the weekend to show off her new car. I believe he didn't expect to see her there. He is obsessed, I believe, with Maddie. Did he ever speak with her? Did he meet her when she was a waitress at the Mad Greek restaurant where he went to at times because of the vegetarian or vegan food there? I think that's what happened. He saw her. He was a man who obsessions come easily to him. He was a heroin addict. He's a man who decided to reinvent himself. He lost 125 pounds, turned his body into a fortress. For whatever reason about Maddie, as you show her picture there, her exuberance, her blonde good looks, her vivaciousness, she captivated him. And I think he felt, ultimately, that the world was just too an impossible place for him to exist, where there were such people in it, and he was not part of what was happening. There have been many police body cam videos shown of the parties that the young students gave, and I think he witnessed those events from the outside. He was on the periphery of those events. And that was a constant rebuke to him. And he focused on Maddie, and everyone else. And that grim, horrible night was really just collateral damage.
Wow. It's an interesting theory, Howard. It really is. And who knows, maybe at the time of trial, we'll see the prosecution lay out something similar. Perhaps there was one intended target and then things spun out of control. If Bryan Kohberger is the killer, obviously cloaked in the presumption of innocence legally. Tell me, Howard, how much of your book is fact? How much of it is fiction?
All of the book is fact. At several points in the book, I theorize about what people are saying or thinking. But the basic elements, the police procedurals, how the killer is caught, the background of the young students, and I also want to say the subtitle of the book is A Requiem for the Idaho Student Murders. And this book is meant to show these young students' lives, to show what they might have been. I want it to be a poignant and affecting portrait, as well as a suspenseful drama.
I can't wait to read it. Howard Blum, again, When the Night Comes Falling. This is the book right here. I have it in my hands. Going to do some weekend reading with this one. Thank you so much for joining us here on Opening Statements. We certainly appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll speak again soon about this case. Take good care.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Now, we know that the family of Kaylee Goncalves does not agree with some of Howard's theories that you just heard. Joining me now, I want to bring in another very special guest, someone I have the pleasure and privilege of working with here at Court TV. She's one of our tremendous producers, the lovely Ana Armas. Somebody as bright as she is nice, and somebody who's kind of become our in-house expert on this case. I mean, you really have. You've traveled, Ana, to Idaho many times. You've been to the home where these children were murdered. You were one of the people who crafted the documentary. I know many of our viewers watching right now saw it and really appreciated the great journalism. So tell me, the Goncalves family, I know you're in close contact with them. What did they have to say, if anything, in learning about the book and about the theory that Howard just laid out?
Yes, I reached out to them. They released a statement. They say, Mr. Blum's book, in our opinion, is fiction. We have never spoken with Mr. Blum about the contents of his book. All this book does is tell a story by Mr. Blum, a version made up by him, relying on sources that have no responsibility or duty to tell the truth. Now, I will say this. There's several key points there that does obviously match up with evidence that we're seeing come out. One of the things that we're seeing is that something a lot of people have been thinking, sources, that Maddie was the focus of the killer.
Right.
We saw some potential evidence of this the day Kohberger was arrested. I looked on her social media account. There was a Bryan Kohberger profile. Was it really his? We don't know. We can't confirm that.
Right.
But it followed many Kohberger family members and was followed back by them, and he was following Maddie. Or no, I wouldn't say he. The profile was following Maddie, none of the other roommates. So he does key into that, and we'll see more at trial.
Right, Ana. You know, any of the other families, I know, of course, they've wanted their privacy, which is understandable. Has anyone else spoken out about this?
Yes, as you know, the most vocal family is the Goncalves family. Benjamin Mogan, Maddie's dad, has spoken a couple times. He barely speaks to the media or to the public. We ran into him at the Mad Greek restaurant that Mr. Blum just mentioned, and he shared with us something about his daughter. Take a listen to what he said. Well,
Sorry,
we don't have
Ana.
that.
We'll see if we can get that clip
That's
for
okay.
you. Yeah.
What he says is his daughter lit up the room, that he's going to miss her forever. And then our reporter asked him, what would you say to the person responsible? Because this was before the arrest. And he says, you don't understand the amount of people this has hurt and for how long. And for me, that was something that sticks to me, that we can leave. We pack our bags and leave. We cover another story. Followers of the story can keep scrolling. They can change the channel. The loved ones of these victims can't do that. They're going to have this pain forever and every day. And that's why I know you do this job, we do this job. One of the reasons is to give voices to the victims and their loved ones.
Yes, Anna, you said that so beautifully. You're absolutely right. You know, I was having a conversation with our show's senior producer, Eric Goldson, last night about that, about how, you know, people move on. You're right. For people just watching, invested in the case as a viewer, it doesn't affect their life, but we have to remember these people who are the victims. Like this morning I was talking with the O'Keefe family, and here, you know, we've got all of the families of those 4 beautiful children. Every day is a living nightmare for them. Anna Armas, thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you
I
for
can't wait
having
to
me.
talk with you more. Please, now that we've got the trial date, let's dig in some more together.
Yeah.
I'd love to tap into your expertise.
Thank you.
All right, we will see you soon. And we're going to hit a break, but still ahead here on opening statements, we've got jury deliberations set to resume coming up in just minutes.